Okay. Welcome to the April Learning Community. Excited to talk about the Basin Babes today. We're going to be hearing from Tanya Rucosky and talking about walking for health, access, and community in rural Maine. Before we jump in, just a few words about Moving Maine and the learning community. We come together roughly every month to learn about great things that are going on either here in Maine or in other places. As the Moving Maine Network, one of our big goals is to strengthen the network of people. So that's all of you, bring people together to build relationships with one another, which then enables us to inform policy change, to support better coordination, and amplify mobility stories. And so we love to use this time to share expertise and just always want to say that that doesn't mean that folks have a fancy degree. It's, you know, we all have expertise in our lives, in our communities. And so we like to shine a light on that and move to action on transportation solutions. So love hearing that people connected after these sessions or that they learned something that they were able to bring into their community, and then to build relationships. So on the note of building relationships, I'm going to stop screen sharing and I'm going to invite folks to introduce themselves. I know some people need to be off screen because they're eating or dealing with other things, but if you are able, we'd love to have you turn on your camera so we can see what each other looks like and get some energy from laying eyes on each other. So we'll go around and do intros, and I'll go to Jessica Sear first and then to Larry.
Hi everyone, my name's Jessica Sear. I am a person with a disability. I live in Southern Maine and I'm here as an advocate for disability rights. I'm a wheelchair user and I'm happy to be here.
Hey there, my name is Larry Days. I am the mobility coordinator for BSoup Transit. Also happy to be here. Sounds like a very interesting topic.
Great, and then Tanya, and then Aaron.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Rucosky. I'm the Community Resilience Coordinator for the Down East region, and you'll be hearing entirely too much from me later.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Bengalib. I'm the Senior Transportation Director at KBCAP.
Great. We'll go to Joe, Julie, and then to Maggie.
Hi everybody, Joe Alva with Gross Bar Maine here helping Zoe. Though she doesn't need my help, so.
I need all the help I can get. And then Julie, and then Maggie and Emily.
Hello. Sorry. I was like, I think I'm next. I don't know. I need lunch. I'm Julie. I work at Alpha One, Maine Center for Independent Living. I'm not the only Alpha One attendee today, so that's awesome. And we work with individuals who have disabilities and are living in the community, you know, whether accessing our services or connecting them to other resources.
Hi everyone, I'm Maggie. I work for Luneco Land Trust, which is based in Bridgeton, and we've been working on a number of accessibility initiatives here.
I think it's me. Hi everyone, I'm Emily Becker. I'm a transportation project manager for AECOM. I also serve as the program manager for Go Maine, Maine DOT and the Turnpike Authority's statewide TDM program. It's nice to see you all.
So we'll go to Jill, then to Jack, and then to Audrey.
I'm Jill Johanning, also from Alpha One, work with Julie. I'm an architect and access specialist. There.
Hey everybody, I'm Jack Bozies from the Bangor Area Comprehensive Transportation System, and I'm the rural planner for us for Penobscot County. So happy to be here and listen in today.
Hi everyone, my name's Audrey. I'm working for QBCOG since 6 months right now. So I'm working with communities and write a lot about transportation, especially in comprehensive plans. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. And then we'll go to Anne, Stephen, and then to Kat.
Hi, my name's Anne Marisek. I'm with the Bicycle Coalition. Sorry, I'm not on camera. I'm having allergy situations. No one wants to see my puffy eyes right now. I do a lot of work with our community spokes program and working to advocate for safer and better bike ped infrastructure.
Stephen Hullett from the town of Kennebunk. I'm also kind of grouchy about video and also furiously multitasking, unfortunately, but it's nice to be here and meet all of you. Thanks a lot, Zoe.
Great. And then Kat and then Allison.
Hi everyone, I'm Kat Violet. Sorry, I'm not on camera today. I'm on my phone right now. I work for Greater Portland Council of Governments. I'm the community engagement coordinator. Actually, my last day is this Friday. And I will be working with Zoe, helping with the Moving Maine Network in the background. Yeah.
And super excited that we got Kat on board to help with some things, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And then Allison, that's you on the phone, right?
Yes, it's Allison on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. And that's really exciting news, Kat. That's awesome. Allison with East Coast Greenway Alliance, and I'm our National Greenway Director. So I'm working on trails Maine to Florida, and really glad to be located in Maine and getting to work on active transportation in Maine.
Great. Well, thank you so much all for being here, and no shame for having your camera off. I wanted to just start off with a couple things so I don't forget, and also in case we lose people towards the end. I did just send out our latest newsletter, and one of the things that is in there, if you haven't seen it yet, is that we are going to be, instead of doing a learning community in May, we are going to have a policy brainstorm on transportation access and equity. The legislature for 2025 is coming right up, even though it seems like a long way away. We've already been hearing a lot of things around places where better policy, updated policy is needed to advance equity and access in transportation. And so that session will be an opportunity to do more brainstorming around that. Moving Maine will be partnering again in the Policy Action Initiative, which is a big collaboration led by Grow Smart Maine and Build Maine. And I think we also have a unique role around equity and access issues that doesn't always come up in more mainstream conversations about public transportation and active transportation. So I'm going to throw this into the chat. This is a link that you can save the date. We'll have more details coming out. If you don't know that if you can make it, don't worry, there will be other ways to share your input on policy, but that will be a kind of an interactive session where people will get to come together and talk about it. A couple other quick updates. So we have been gearing up for a while to do a story collection project, and I'm very excited that Kat has come on board to help with that. And so we will be interviewing folks, hopefully about 20 folks from across the state. We already have some ideas of people to talk to. The Basin Babes, who we're going to hear about today, are on the list. The idea for that story collection project is to be able to really put a face to what transportation insecurity looks like in Maine. If you haven't heard the term transportation insecurity, you will be hearing it more from me and in conversations about Moving Maine. And that's really, the situation where people don't feel confident about their ability to get the places that they need to go, and what it's causing distress in their lives. And we really want to flip that to a place where folks in Maine have transportation security. And so part of the way we believe we do that is by telling the story of how it's impacting Maine right now and showing how many people are impacted. So national data says 1 in 4 people experience transportation insecurity. We're pretty sure it looks at least, looks the same in Maine. It may be even greater. And so we're also going to be doing a survey to be able to have some quantitative data about that. But we know humans are wired for stories. We want to hear stories. We want to tell stories. So we're going to be collecting them. So you'll be hearing more about that. I feel like for me, I carry around a lot of stories. I'm guessing that people in this audience are the same. I think of, my aunt who spent several months in the hospital because she needed rides to dialysis and couldn't get a spot in a nursing home where that was provided. That's not a story. We don't want that to be a story that lots of people are experiencing. But I think it's really important to tell those stories. So if you have a story rattling around in your head and you know a person that we should talk to, please let me know, and we'll look at including them in the story collection project. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya. She's going to introduce herself and talk about some of the interesting, tell the story really of some interesting work that she's involved with in her neck of the woods. So take it away, Tanya.
All right, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully get us to the place where I can actually advance the slides, which of course the screen, of course, my screen sharing thing out there, the bar is in front of the slideshow capacity. All right. So my name is Tanya Rucosky. I'm the Community Resilience Coordinator for the Downeast region of Maine. And what that means is that I help municipalities find money and technical assistance to do any of the things they want to do that lines up with the Maine Won't Wait climate action strategy. So that could be anything. There's about 72 different aspects they can go after. But a big chunk of that is reducing greenhouse emissions, and that includes bike ped and also, public transportation. I live in a rural community. I represent and work with a rural region, and so for a lot of us, that's a big push about, what does that mean, bike ped access when you're in a rural community? When I talk to DOT and say, hey, we need sidewalks, we need harder berms, we need to make this accessible for everyone, I get a lot of pushback. I mean, the town I live in is 100 square miles. About a third of that is water. We have 1,200 people. So telling them that we're going to walk to the grocery store when we don't have a grocery store within like 30 miles, or that people are going to try to walk to work, it's not really what people are doing. And yet they still do need those infrastructures. I'm a big walker. This is me in the winter because I have dogs and a body, so I have to go outside 3 or 4 times a day. And because of that, I ended up meeting some of my neighbors when I first moved here. I met the ladies called the Basin Babes. The Basin Babes started off as Kathy and Judy. Kathy was putting up her mailbox in 2010 and Judy walked by and Kathy said, oh, do you walk here a lot? And Judy said, yes, you should join me. So now there's a group of about 15 women and dogs. We don't count the dogs. They're just hangers on. And they are all over 50. Most of them are on their own. They're either widowed or divorced. I think 2 of the group have a husband or somebody in the home with them. They're mostly retired educators and healthcare providers. So they're well educated, they're old, they're alone, they're on very fixed incomes. And they decided they wanted to do this walking group. So they go out every morning at 5:30 to 7, depending on the time of year. And we walk from Kathy's house all the way out to the beach. And that's 2.1 miles each way. So 4 miles and a bit round trip every day. Every day. It's terrible. We struggle. There's tears. No. The views are terrible, and we have a lot of fun, and it's great exercise. It's cheap. We love the view. This is how it looks when we have to go home. And sometimes there's beach there. It depends if the tide's in or not. We sometimes go have a cup of coffee on the beach. So it's a rough gig. We do. But it's an important thing that's going on that goes well beyond the exercising. We know in rural communities that there's all kinds of risks out there for social isolation and loneliness. We have cruddy internet, we have transportation challenges, we have an environment that's hostile towards people getting out and walking around. Washington County, where I live, is a very poor place. Probably where I live, the mean income is less than the poverty rate. And we have really long transportation to health care. And all of these things, they just pile up. And that's especially true when you're talking about people who are older. And so they're dealing with all of these things. And what happens is, people die. We know that the more people are out, the more they exercise, the better their health outcomes are. The Basin Babes, on average, walk 630 minutes a week. So well in excess of even what this scale shows us. And so we know that it's extending their lives. We also know that walking has all kinds of other benefits for people. It gets them out there. It improves their balance, especially for elderly people, which helps them stay in their home. It helps people control their weight. You get vitamin D, all the good things. You get those terrible views. My dog's annoyed because I'm working on the time I'm supposed to be walking him. And we also know that for general well-being, getting out there and walking is one of the ways that you can tap into all these other things, especially if you're doing it with a group. So you're getting to socialize, you're getting the exercise, it helps you sleep well. So it's all the things except for eating well that help people have a really fulfilled life. So what do the babes do besides walk? Well, they take care of each other. So in 2022, Judy, who is 84, I didn't mention that the oldest member of this group is 88, the youngest is 52. But we get hurt and we get sick. So 2021, Judy had a heart attack. She's 84, and she was told by her doctor that if she hadn't been walking so much, she would have died right then and there. She had a lot of clogged arteries, but her heart was good and strong. So this mobilized the babes. And because the babes are like healthcare professionals and teachers, they did a roster and a spreadsheet, and they figured out how Judy could come home right from the hospital, that there would be somebody there to help her put on her compression socks in the morning, somebody to make her breakfast, somebody to make sure her house was kept tidy, somebody to make sure she had fuel to keep her house warm, somebody to change her dressing. And then in the evening, folks came, they helped her have dinner, they helped her get into her PJs, they changed her dressing, they helped her take off her socks, which she tells me was instrumental in her survival because she apparently really hated the socks. We had Connie, who's 86, fall at home. She fell off a ladder and she broke her shoulder. And again, the whole team was mobilized. She has a husband, but he doesn't know how to cook. So everybody cooked for her for 6 weeks while she was like this. And then she had a lot of confidence issues about going back out because she was afraid if she tripped and fell, she might re-injure herself. So she would have not gone back to walking, except that the babes encouraged her, come out, walk at least part of it, meet us in the middle. And because of that, both Judy and Connie are still walking with us, and they're doing great. In fact, this morning I had to jog to catch up with these women because I got out the door a little late. They're killing me. And the babes don't just take care of each other and walk, they party. These women took over a one-room church that's on our walking route with some of the other neighbors, and it's now a center where we do social and educational activities about 9 months out of the year. So if you want to go play bingo and win a cake, come see us on May the 10th, because apparently that's what we're doing there. They have a sewing circle. What else do they do? Oh, they come up on my porch every Tuesday in the summer and we drink wine and have dessert together. They go on bus trips. They go on road trips. Just because they walk every morning at 5 in the morning doesn't mean they won't walk for charity. So they'll go out, and Judy's husband died of Alzheimer's. So they'll go and do like fun runs and charity walkathons, and because, hey, they haven't walked enough. So they do all kinds of charity events. And let's see, they also do community dinners and lunches, and they're just always interacting and challenging each other. They kill me, actually. They wear me out because I keep having to remind these people I have a job, okay? Because they want to socialize all the time. They also really help each other in terms of mobility. And that was a big surprise to me when I mentioned to them that I need to go get a colonoscopy because I'm that age, and that I needed to get a ride there and back because you can't drive after they've knocked you out. They drove me an hour each way so I could get to that. And I was talking to my sister who's an MD, and she told me, you would be surprised how many people don't get that kind of medical treatment, just basic screenings, because they can't get a ride. And so the babes take care of each other in that way. So one of them has a pickup truck. Since I'm the youngest person with a good back, they will roll up in the pickup truck and they will get your furniture and they will help you move your furniture. They will do anything you need. If you need mulch, they're there for you. If you need a ride to the grocery store, they're there for you. I don't know how many times I've heard these women say, I'm going to Rennie's, who wants something? So it's always there. There's just always this level of mobility that's available to people, even if they can't drive. And there was a while where one of them had eye surgery, and so she got driven everywhere. She didn't even have to ask. She was just told, we're going here. Do you want a ride? What do you need? So all of that together means that these people who live in a very rural place, about 1,000 people, spread out across a huge landscape, are helping each other stay in their homes and stay in their homes safely. So these women are never going to be the women that, like, nobody knew she was dead. Like when Judy had her heart attack, which happened at 4 a.m, they all knew by 4:30 because I happened to be driving by her place, and I saw the ambulances there. So they all knew. They were already like mobilized before she even got to the hospital. If somebody doesn't show up, it is known. If they're expected to be there, somebody will be at your house. I've had them at my house going, where are you? And so they take care of each other. All of these services they provide each other, as well as the exercise, means that these folks can stay in their homes for a long time and they can stay by themselves, and it's no big deal. It's not just what these ladies do for themselves and for each other, but it's what they do for the community. It's really interesting. And I really want to expand this to be thinking about how a walkable community has this kind of magnifying effect. So these women are really a node in the community, and from them, things have expanded out. So they really build community connections. On a Sunday a couple weeks ago, I got back from the walk. It was like 6:30 in the morning. I'm going to make tea, have some breakfast. And I realized that I talked to 13 of my neighbors, and it wasn't even like 7 o'clock in the morning yet. I mean, we know our neighbors because as you're walking, if there's 10 women walking abreast down a tiny little rural road, everybody who's on their bicycle out there goofing around, everybody who drives by in their pickup truck, everybody who's coming out to, get the paper is going to say hi and chat. And so it means that there is nobody on our little road who doesn't know each other and isn't aware of each other's kind of comes and goes and patterns. And so it's expanded the whole community's awareness of each other and care for each other. We are Granny Watch. There is no strange car on our street that we don't know about. There is no window that's blown in during a storm that we don't let the owner know, even if they're, it's a vacation home. We're hyper aware because we're there every day at the same time of anything strange or funky going on. We improve community safety. And frankly, we're pushing for change. So we're walking down the street, 10 abreast, 3 dogs, blah, 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 blah. We do keep a good pace, about 2.8 miles an hour, which I think is pretty good for people that are in their 80s. And this person came speeding down our little road, and there were grannies everywhere diving into bushes. And we got ourselves reorganized after that. Person from away went on through, and we thought, no, this is crazy. Don't they know we own these streets? We own this street, and we're not going to have it. You know, these people speeding through our tiny little community is unacceptable. We don't have a sidewalk. We don't have hardened edges on the road. There's nowhere to go. And we realized as we walked back that there was not one speed limit sign on our road, not one. So we decided that's it. We need to do something about that. We need to make this community safer for us because some people do not know that we're out there, which is just, but you know, whatever. So some of us on that group, and then we expanded out to some other people, decided we would form a road committee. We went to the select board. We told them we wanted to be a road committee. They said, what's the point? Why? There's no problem. We said, yes, there is. And we said, you know, we need some stuff. We need some stuff to make it safer out on the streets, not just for us oldies, but also for the kids, you know, for the children. And they said, you guys just want a sidewalk. Nobody wants a sidewalk. And we're like, well, let's ask the community. So we started asking. We did a survey. Here's what we found out. 35% of people in our community, a community of 100 square miles and 1,200 people, don't feel safe walking anywhere in our community. It's just cuckoo town. The most safe perceived road in our community was the road that the Babes actually walk on. So that road's perceived as pretty safe, and I guess that's why we're all there. But it just seemed insane that in such a rural community, still cars dominate to such a degree that people don't feel safe at all. We ask, you know, where is speed a problem? Because we knew for us that speed was a problem. We had this road come up, East Side Road, which runs along one side of the bay. It's straight. People go 60, 70 miles an hour. Lobster trucks full of traps, lobster trucks full of lobsters. There is no berm. And then also concerning is Cape Split and Moose Neck Road, which is where we walk, which is where people perceive it to be safe, but people also are perceiving an increased level of speed. We've had a lot of change in our community post-COVID. A lot of vacation homes that were kind of empty most of the year are now being used year-round by people, which is great, except they don't understand that we own the street. So, and that is an emerging concern. When we asked people where they didn't currently feel safe, this street came up, Water Street. Now, I didn't know this because I don't live in town. Downtown Addison has a post office, a municipal building, a library, and the Oaks Lodge, and about 7 or 8 houses. That's it. And Water Street is the main street right there. So we have people saying that they don't feel safe on our own downtown street in a tiny town. We asked people, well, you know, if money wasn't an issue, because I do help the towns find money, what would you like done? And the first thing people said they wanted done was they wanted to deal with a problem on East Side Road. Besides the fact that it's the East Side Freeway, it also has a low spot in the road during king tides that gets flooded. So they said, we'd really like a bridge there. People have already died because an ambulance couldn't get through. But second to that is we would like a sidewalk. So even though the select board said nobody wants a sidewalk, it's just you guys agitating for sidewalks, guess what? Everybody wants a sidewalk. So when we asked people particularly about Water Street, because we realized, well, I hadn't realized people were afraid of Water Street. We heard that 20% of respondents felt, well, less than 20% felt it was safe to walk downtown. And 30% said they'd love to walk downtown, but they can't. When we ask, hey, even if you have to put your hand in your own pocket, and again, this is a very economically challenged community, what would you want to do if we had to do match in the town? After they talked about the bridge, the second thing they said was, we really want a sidewalk in the downtown. So now we're going back to the select board and saying, you know what, you guys might not want a sidewalk, but actually we want a sidewalk downtown. These were some of the things people wrote in and said on the survey about the sidewalk. We had people saying, I drive my car to the post office. This is a person who lived 3 doors down from the post office. We had people say, I don't visit my next door neighbor because I am afraid to walk around there. A person who lived behind the post office say, I have to walk onto the street to get to the post office because there's a fence, so I don't do that. I drive to the post office. We have people saying they saw an elderly man almost run down, people who have to ditch their bikes in the downtown. So it's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. So that's what a bunch of little old ladies can do. We're rabble rousers, and we're just going to do it more, because one of the things we really see is that as you slow down, as people take ownership of their streets, we're creating this like huge system that's developing that's way more than just 5 people who have really great cardiovascular health in their 70s. It's this whole system that's evolving and pushing back. And so what we're really looking for a lot is the ways to talk to our leadership and help them understand that these are things that are important. They're not just important in Portland, they're important in our rural communities. They're essential for our rural communities so that people can live the kind of lives that they deserve to. That's it from me, gang. I will stop it there.
Wow, I don't know about others, but I was getting goosebumps. And I really almost started to tear up at one point. I think it's just, I found myself thinking I want to start this in my own neighborhood. And because I'll often think like, oh, if I had a dog, I would get out and walk in the morning. But if I've had babes. So I'm just curious, I'll kick off questions and comments for Tanya. What do you think are the essential ingredients to starting something like this?
I think you need 1 or 2 people that are fairly committed to walking at a regular time. And, I think you have to have low expectations. I mean, the Babes weren't built yesterday. The Babes have been going for 24 years now, we realized. As I started talking to them about doing this, they started telling me this stuff. Like, I had no idea about the Judy roster, where everybody was taking care of Judy. But for a long time, Kathy said it was just her and Judy walking, and they were happy with that. And they let it grow organically. They let the community develop around them, and they were just welcoming. So when I happened to live on their route, and when I moved in and I saw them go by, they stopped and they talked to me and they asked me about what brought me there. And I said, I walk my dogs sometimes. And they said, you should walk with us sometimes. And it's just that low key welcoming attitude that slowly grew it. So, I don't really believe in forcing community development. Community development has to be organic, and there has to be that understanding. So that's number 1. A couple people that are just gonna kind of like, Judy and Kathy didn't think they were building anything. They thought they were just keeping each other company because their husbands were both sick. The other thing is you need a safe place to walk. You need a safe place to walk. And now what's happened is Babes come from all over our community. Like, some of them drive 5 or 6 miles just to get there to walk, and we all rendezvous because where they live, like some of them live on East Side Road, it's not safe to walk. And so what happened, at least in our situation, is because we had a safer place to walk, where this road is a dead end road, that was able to grow there. But it would grow in other places. I know half the Babes would just disappear and go off and do their own walk at their own time, if it was safer in front of their house. And that would be fine, because people should be able to walk for exercise and community everywhere.
So I see Stephen made a comment and a question. I see some areas of declining civic volunteer activity in town as certain communities age. How do the Babes recruit?
So they recruit in the best possible way. They are present. They are out there. And I was just talking to them this morning, and they said that some of them had gone and done a beach cleanup on Saturday for Earth Day, or they did cleanups along the road. They're present, and they are present, in a regular way. And I think that helps. They don't look for people, but everybody is invited all the time. So it's just a matter of feeling like you want to join in, but they go out of their way to welcome new people. And then there was a question, what helped build the network of fellow residents with shared perspectives? I think one of the other things is these ladies are polite. Like, there are a lot of different political views among that group. We do not discuss it. Some of us are quite irreligious, and some of us are very devout. We do not discuss it. They try very hard to be inclusive, and that means we talk about the weather and what's going on in the community, and kids and grandkids, and they do keep it light, and because of that, it means that everybody feels like they can be part of it. Occasionally conversation groups break off and we have our little growl about whatever's going on, but I think that's part of the culture of the group, is that they do not challenge people about different perspectives. It might be a kind of Minnesota nice kind of thing, but it does create a little bit of social lubricant there.
Yeah, and I think a lot about the importance of building relationships before tough things happen. So it's, debating politics or religion with somebody you just met is totally different from discussing or debating once you have a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
So creating a space where people can come in and not feel like they're going to get, called out or, put on the spot, it sounds like is really valuable.
I think so. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation lately about the NPR book club. Yeah, pretty safe. Anyway, I feel like with this group, I'm preaching to the choir.
I know. Well, we did. I was thinking as you were talking, like, who else would we want to hear this? And I think, which kind of gets at the whole, like, the story collection project being a way to bring stories like this even broader. But I also feel like Tanya should have a TED Talk. It was really great. So I see Anne from Bicycle Coalition of Maine said, love seeing the community activism. If you need any support with getting infrastructure and roads changed, reach out to us at the Bicycle Coalition. That's awesome.
We have talked, Anne. But yes, we're working on it, and I appreciate the work that they've done and help they've given us. We're going to do a bike repair workshop for the community, because we are aware that a lot of kids, especially because our community is challenged, don't have a bike that they can use. And then others of us have 3 or 4 bikes that are just in our barn that need some work done on them that we could share with other people in our community. So that's where we're heading. And we're also looking at doing a fun ride across our town, our town festival weekend. And most of the babes aren't doing that, but 1 or 2 people are going to bike ride too for that.
Nice. Sorry, allergy brain.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I love that idea too of, when Tanya and I talked at one point that walking being one of the least expensive forms of exercise. You really just need shoes, comfortable shoes. and of course you need a safe place. But in terms of gear or memberships, you don't need that. And so I think, yeah, I think it's checks all the boxes for me. So now I wanted to open it up. We always like to have time for folks to share any updates they have or events that are coming up that they want to talk about. So I would say folks can keep, if you have questions or comments for Tanya, keep those coming, but just kind of opening it up to more, you know, more broadly, if people have things going on they want to share about.
I just have a comment on sort of one of the barriers to creating safer streets that we've run into, or safer pedestrian and bike options, is sort of municipal capacity, especially in rural communities. You know, we have various town committees that I'm on and our staff is on, and that certainly helps, but we don't have a grant writer. We're lucky to have a community development office. And there's a lot of money out there right now, for, like, I'm thinking about Safe Streets for All, but there's just not capacity at the municipal level, to sort of bring down the money and then do the work of like connecting sidewalks or building sidewalks. So that's just something that we've run into and are trying to address, like with our nonprofit staff capacity, but sort of seeing that across the board.
Yeah, Tanya, did you want to respond to
Yeah,
that?
I would suggest you reach out to the Community Resilience Partnership because that's all we do. I basically write grants for enrolled towns, and certainly we would work on village grants, or and we also help them find money for matching for those kind of grants, like a village what is it called? Village grant? It's the DOT one.
Village
But
partnership.
Village partnership, but check in and see if the towns you're working with are enrolled, because the coordinators are there to do that, because we are so aware of the lack of capacity and really want to fill that gap.
Yeah, the towns that we work in for the most part are enrolled, and we're engaged in that a little bit. And like in Casco, they're doing a complete streets project, which is exciting. But I just feel like there's even more, I don't know, just like sort of building up that municipal, like to do more to build up that municipal capacity and acceptance of pursuing these initiatives has been tough, and that takes time and education and all of that. But yeah, the RCP network has been really great.
Yeah, Maggie, I just want to add to, I think, acknowledge that is a challenge that I think it would be, I'm going to mull over more how we might play a role as the Moving Maine Network with catalyzing that. Or I know there was a bill passed that, you know, is just, I'm sure in its infancy as far as the services, but to have more services for small communities, because that comes up just over and over again, is how to smaller communities, and not just the smallest, but even, you know, I think a lot of mid-sized communities struggle with this, to have the capacity to write the proposals, to get the funding, to get the match in rural areas is really hard. And so I think that's a question as to whether, I know there are some resources, like some nationally there are resources, and I had a conversation a while back of how can we bring some of those to Maine. So this is a good thing to bring back up, of specifically for the Safe Streets and Roads for All grants. What's going on with that, and could they help? And let's not, like, we don't need to reinvent the wheel too. If there are, you know, communities, you know, if one community is working on it, could they help other communities? And kind of related to that, are folks involved in Safe Streets? So it's like the SS4A funding. Are folks involved with putting in proposals in? Are smaller communities eligible for that? That's something I had been wondering about, and actually was planning to follow back up with Tanya. So like, would Addison be eligible? Do you know, Tanya?
You know, it breaks my heart that Addison is not an enrolled town, even though I've begged them several times to be and offered them prepared community.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
killing me, but bless their hearts, they're not ready yet.
Yeah. 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 Because then there's the other side of it where it's the openness and willingness in communities to do. There's a lot to do, which is why we all need a group of babes in our community to make it happen. Other info that folks want to share or updates? Comments, questions for Tanya?
I'd just like to wrap up with Judy made me socks. I mean, like, how many times do you interact with people and they're just like, hey, I knitted you a pair of wool socks?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
I will say it's inspiring me to get a new pair of walking shoes. They're a little tattered and torn.
I can just share that we have sort of, over the past couple years, started a similar initiative in Bridgeton. We call them community walks, and they take place just monthly, not every day. I think we'd get more maybe community building if we did them more often, but that's just a capacity thing. But we meet at noon on every third Thursday of the month, and we take a walk for an hour in Pondicherry Park, which is right in downtown Bridgeton and has a new gravel surfaced trail built to universal access standards. And it's been the people who attend are often single women or people who are new to town. And we sort of bill it as just a way to meet your neighbors, to get outside, to be active, be introduced to the park. You know, a lot of folks don't feel comfortable exploring a new place on their own, especially in the woods. So it's been really successful. We have like a core group that comes back every week or every month. And then we've had people like meet each other and plan to go on hikes and things on their own, which is like the most beautiful thing. But yeah, I know a lot of land trusts, do events and walks on their trails and preserves. And I think the aspect of that maybe isn't promoted as much or talked about as much as the community building, like meet your neighbor, meet new people, opportunities that come with that. So.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, and it sounds like the fact that it's in the same place over time too, I think is nice, because often you see like, do this trail or that trail. And so that's more like a one-off where I think people would feel like they needed to bring a friend or be willing to not know anybody. So yeah, that piece of getting to knowing that you're going to get to see people there again brings people back. Well, I'll just make a plug for a couple of things. Anne says community spokes training. Oh, great. So it'll be, Anne, do you want to, and I know you're having allergy stuff, but do you want to just say a few words for folks who don't know what community spokes is? It would be great.
Sure.
To talk
So
about what it is.
our community spokes actually fits really, really nicely in with this. And I know, Tanya, we've tried to get some stuff going, but it's basically, basic community organizing training related to bike ped. And it doesn't have to be, I know we're the Bicycle Coalition of Maine, but it's biking, walking, rolling, however you're getting around, that's active transportation. And our community spokes training basically helps you find your group, but seeing how you can use a group to leverage getting changes made in your community. We provide you with a lot of the tools, a lot of the resources. And like I said, I'll be posting those training dates later today, but it should be the 30th, not 20th. whew, allergies. And it's it's just 2 sessions to kind of walk you through the basics. And then our website, if you don't have time to come, check out our advocacy resources page, because it shows you some of the resources that are out there to bring about some change. I will say right now, climate seems to be the key word. Anytime, people are looking to get something done, it's like, well, you have a climate initiative. Promoting good biking, walking helps that. And money tends to float your way a little faster when it's tied to major initiatives, and climate's something our state's been very, very focused on, but has seemed to leave active transportation out of that conversation a lot, which it's honestly like one of the most effective ways to make these changes. So we'll be having that going, and alternatively, if you have a group that would like to go through the training, you can reach out to me. It's just ANNE@bikemaine.org, and we can set up a private training.
Ooh, that's great to know, Anne, that you can also, so I guess what I'm hearing is if you have a group that already exists, we could invite Bicycle Coalition to come and do the training with that group. Is that what you're saying?
Yep, definitely. We've done some sessions with AARP before, and I'm happy to do it online or, in person if it's doable. So yeah, they're a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, I'm just going to share, in case folks missed it, that we have our latest newsletter is out. And so throwing that in the chat, and quite a few ways to make your voice heard, and then also some interesting things in the news and some funding opportunities. So one thing I wanted to highlight is actually, this is in Jessica's neck of the woods, that there's a workshop on April 30th about work to expand the Eastern Trail in Southern York County. Talk about safe places to walk. So love to have you get that word out to folks across the region. And there's, I think that there'll be a lot more coming out in the next 6 months about work that Moving Maine Network is doing collectively, in addition to the story collection project, and ways to have our decision makers hear how much folks want safe places to walk and roll and bicycle, and to be able to have access to public transportation. And I just keep, emphasizing how important it is for decision makers to hear from us, to know. I just actually had a conversation with a town councilor yesterday who was saying, well, just nobody uses transit. I don't know. Mainers just don't want to use transit. And I just think, of course, that is not true, but there's a truth to it, in that there's a lack of imagination about how transit could look in Maine and what's possible. And I think we all know that. So let's keep talking about that. And here's this link that tell our Congress members, and just keep telling them. So I think that's one of the best things we can do is, people need to hear things multiple times. So thank you all so much for being here today. And we look forward to many more conversations like this. I know I'm gonna think about how I can get some kind of walk. Mine might be weekly. Daily is awesome. Daily is something to strive for, but I think my group walk might be weekly. So maybe folks can plan to report back on what they've what they've done with walking, and Larry can show us a photo of his sneakers, or you know, put your feet up to the screen next time.
I think the fact that they're retired gives them a lot more flexibility. I don't walk with them every day because some days, like I'm like, oh, I have to be somewhere at 8 a.m. on the other side of the state. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.